Well, hi. Feels like we've been gone for a minute. There's a reason for that. We have been gone for a minute. It rained last week like crazy. So I got these new little itty bitty 1-inch paint rollers that I'm going to be using to do some of the smaller things that I need to do, because I have found out one thing. I don't like a paintbrush for this. It leaves things very piecey, and it just makes me mad. So, I don't need any more reasons to be mad. So, I am just going to be using these little tiny paint rollers to do these little tiny jobs. This is very handy. And I am all about handy. We have these doors to do, which means a little cutting in. So I'm just going to use this little cute little paint pen that came with my 2-inch foam rollers and cut in around the sides of these. So I have this piece that goes on top of where the toilet used to be, which was actually originally a compartment for propane. So this thing has been through the mill. It's been everything. So when I took the whole thing apart, disposed of the toilet, you're welcome. I took off a little piece of wood that was actually the brace for the other side of this, because I'm brilliant. So now I get to cut a piece of wood to go in there to rebrace, but that's okay. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and paint the top of this green, because what goes underneath it will be my third color, which we have yet to unveil, because I have to kind of paint, you know, from the top down. Kind of paint the butt. So anyway, I'm gonna get after this. These are the two doors that I took off of underneath where the built-in stove and the refrigerator used to be. All they do is just cover up the, the area that goes to like the wheel well area and the place where the tie downs for the camper are. So they don't really open and close. They just kind of sit there. A couple of little pieces hold them shut, and there you go. So they were a pretty big eyesore, so I just decided I'd paint them green too. I can, boy, if I can get everything moved around okay. It's tight in here, you guys. You just don't know. Go ahead and paint this cabinet green. It's pretty cleared out. I'm going to have to do a second coat on these as well, which is fine. I like that green. I do. It's cool. I'm working on the camper, but the turkeys are giving the yard overtime. Look at them all. They ain't scared. They're everywhere. Wow. There's more that you can't see. That's cool. They're pretty. Every once in a while I find a feather. Just like you might like to see them. Aha! Don't sit on that, Kel. Not comfy. I did it again. Oops, I did it again. What else is new? Okay. What are we learning? Kelly does everything at least 2 or 3 times just to prove that you shouldn't do that. I feel like that's kind of the way life decisions go, right? When everybody says, oh, I make questionable life decisions, it's because you don't trust yourself the first time. So you just, well, I'll try that again. Really? Yeah, really. That's how we do. I know I'm not the only one. Yeah, about that. If you ever think you're the only one, hey, that's ego. You ain't the only one. You ain't that special. It's just true. It's just true. I'm the only one who has ever felt this bad. No, baby, you're not. I'm the only one who has ever done this fabulous thing. No, baby, you're not. I'm the only one that'll ever love you this much. No, baby, you probably not. That's usually something that I hear of that gets bandied around in divorce or breakups, or nobody will ever love you like I do. Jesus Christ, I hope not. I've been in that spot a time or two where I thought, only if I'm lucky. So, never be thinking you're the only one. You going through recovery? You ain't the only one. You had a really bad breakup? You ain't the only one. You just won the lottery? You might be the only one. But anytime there's trouble, why is that? Why is it that we get in our heads? Now, I do this. I sit in the house. It's late at night because I don't sleep very well. And I'm sitting there and I get to muddling around in my own head, and I'm like, I'm all alone. No one loves me like they should. And we all do that. Don't sit there and laugh at me right now, because you do that too. I deserve better. Maybe if I gave better, I would get better. Maybe, all this stuff. Well, maybe. But when you're in that moment, like, you really buy into your own crap, don't you? I do. I'll always be alone. Don't do that, man. And next time you get to feeling like that, think back to this video and be like, oh yeah, if nobody else is out there feeling like that, I would be surprised, because that's sort of the human condition. So, anyway, enough of that. Let me get some things cleaned up and go in and get some things washed up. Oh, this little one's a tough nut. Jesus, Jesus, come off of there. Okay, well, I get it off on the side. Well, I look pretty. I have a question for you guys. What are you afraid of? Yeah. Really, honestly, like, what scares you? What really makes your heart go? For me, it was just all about, what am I missing out on? What is that one thing that just always spoke to me? Was it art? Was it acting? Was it singing? Was it horses? What was it? What was that one thing? Was it love? Was it, I don't know. What was it? Cars. For me, and it's taken me a long time to figure this out, and it might take you a long time too, and maybe you haven't really thought about it at all. Maybe it's time to think about it. What is it that scares you? Not scares like jump scare, like the Amityville horror. Yeah, well, that scares everybody, but like what is it that you fear that you're going to forget, or that you're going to miss, or that you're just not being fulfilled by that thing because you've forgotten about it or you haven't thought about it? What is it? For me, it's getting out in nature. And I know I've talked about this before, but there was a time in my life where I was so closely attuned to nature. I was dating someone who was just the most in tune, quietly in tune person. I had the best group of friends. We're still friends, most of us. We got back in touch after many years, but that is what made me start thinking. Getting back in touch with these people that were such an intrinsic part of my life got me thinking, what's missing? You know, what if I never have that thing again? Will be saddening to me. And it's adventure and nature and being reliant on myself. So I urge you to think about, what is it that makes me tick? What is it that makes me me? Am I following that thing? Am I chasing it down to make sure that I have it? And if I'm not, why not? What is stopping me? Just think about it. It's an interesting little brain exercise. Doesn't hurt anything. So, I'll see y'all in a little bit. Well, hello. How are you? What's up? So I absolutely wasn't going to do this, but I can't stand it anymore. The first paint color that I bought was an Oops color from Home Depot by Behr. And I don't really know what color this is, because of course it doesn't say. And it had a little swatch on the top, and I was like, you know, that's really a pretty color. There's a man riding down the road on a horse. He's the neighbor. He's awful. Anyway, but the little swatch on the top looked really pretty, and I have it open. I was going to make myself wait until I was done with everything else, because this is the color that's going to go on the bottom. I'm starting, you know, with the lighter on top, then the green, and then this other color. Because I think it'll do better with, like, you know, if you kick it and like smudge it, I think it'll do better with that. Now, I may be wrong, because the green turned out to be a little darker than I thought. It is this color. I thought it was more of a celery green, but that's probably just because, I don't know, it looked different on the swatch, or maybe I was seeing things. Maybe I'm delusional. I don't know. Anyway, so it is time to unveil our last color. I'm very excited. There it is. There's our last color. Isn't it beautiful? Indeed it is. So let's just get on with making it happen. So because I have this itty bitty paint tray, I don't know how much I'm going to paint. I don't have a lot of time today. I need to, you know, do other human being stuff. So I'm just going to do one of these, or a couple of these, so that I don't have a whole, you know, gallon of paint mess thing going on. I've got one of my little 2-inch rollers. I got this whole, I have inch, well these are actually I think 7/8, and I have 2-inch, I have 3-inch, I have 4-inch, I've got all these rollers. So I really do like the foam rollers better than the old other kind. I don't even know what they're called, like rag rollers or something. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, now, like I said, I have sort of a limited amount of time today, so I thought that I would just paint these little drawers. They were slated to be blue, so a bluing we will go. I know they'll need 2 coats, everything does. Man, these little foam rollers are just the ticket. Yikes. Sweet. We'll see how this dries, you know, because the green looked really light until it dried. Everything always dries a little deeper, so we'll get at least 1 coat on these. I'll sit this one down in the sun, maybe it'll go ahead and dry. The sun is very bright today. So, have you ever gone to a store to buy paint and you pick it out and you think, oh, that is the most beautiful color, and you get home and you put it on your, I don't know, 4,000 square foot house walls, and you think, oh, that's just beautiful, and you come back the next day or whatever when it's dry and you're like, the hell? Because it's really dark. So I'm hoping that this does darken up a little bit. I like it. I mean, it's pretty. What's not to like? But I wouldn't mind if it was a little more gray blue. I think it might be, the swatch on the top of the bucket is a little less greeny and a little more gray. So we'll see. Let's see how this door's going. I like it. I think it's pretty. Not quite, even sitting in the sun, it's not quite dry yet. So we're just gonna sit it over here to paint the other things blue that need to be blue. I need to be on the floor, and I am not ready to commit to that today. That is not true. I have one more thing I can paint blue. I have this door down here. It is just, ew. Okay, I'm not going to paint that door right now because it is sitting directly in the sun. And this paint dries, or starts to even partially dry, so flipping fast that, pardon me, I have a frog in my throat, that I don't really want to get, you know, streaks and weird stuff. So I'm not going to do that. See, this is what we call a good life choice. I don't exercise these that often. Perhaps if we knew ahead of time the outcomes that our life choices would come out with, we would be a little more careful about how we go about things. I know that often in my own little petty life, I don't think to, like, cast forward my thoughts. What will happen if I do this thing that I really want to do in the moment? You know, what price is this going to exact? Because there is always a price. Oh, trust. If you haven't found that out yet, you will. It's like, picking, this is just going to oversimplify the whole thing. It's like picking a date based on their looks. Ever do that? Not always the best idea. Sometimes it's a downright terrible idea. Sometimes what things look like on the surface is not what they're going to end up looking like in the end. Oh yeah, teenagers. Not just teenagers, hell, everybody. Let me go out with my friends and do umpty shots and take this weird pill that this guy in the corner gave me, and yeehaw, I'm having fun, it's a great night. No, kids. Think about the ramifications of your actions. So, long story short, thought about what's going to happen if I paint that door right now in that direct sunlight. It's going to partially dry before I can get done. There are going to be streaks. There are going to be like those welts, because I have a couple of those. Actually, I don't. I thought I did, but I don't. On my green over here. Just don't. Think ahead. Just a little. Okay? Okay.